now.
Welcome to the podcast, Poverty Franchise Podcast, episode 8.
Kobe episode.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Khalil.
And today we're going to be talking about NBA team rankings because season's pretty much over, other than the chip. But whoever wins the chip, it shouldn't affect how they rank in this.
If you made the chip, it's not going to affect where you made it.
It's already an accolade in it, so that's great.
Yeah.
So, first up, let's go T-Wolves.
T-Wolves.
I have them at a
B.
B, solid
like
B.
A very fair B.
Very solid B.
And let me give a little more context as to the tier rankings. This is their seasons as a whole. It's a combination of how you were projected to perform, how you actually performed, some of the storylines that were during your season. For certain teams, it might be how you got eliminated in the playoffs. Or how you performed in the playoffs might lower your ranking or higher your ranking. We'll try and keep in consideration injuries, give context to things because it's easy to put all the playoff teams in A, B, and anyone who missed the playoffs in C, D, F when it's really not like that. The Magic, for example, to me wouldn't be an F because, beginning of the season, they were projected to be the worst team in the league and they were the worst team in the league. That's pretty much a C. They were how they were supposed to be. I think we should just define what a D or an F is. A D or an F is
like a disappointing, underwhelming season. Right. Say you were projected to be a chip contender and you don't even make the playoffs. I'm not taking any shots at any teams for now, but
we'll get there.
We'll get there. But if you were expected to be somewhere and you didn't make it that far, that's underwhelming, hence being a D or F.
Right. But anything A, B, C is positive. If you're a C, I don't think a C is bad.
If you're C isn't even bad. It's actually what you were expected.
Yeah, C and above is where you want to be, essentially.
To be honest, we're going to see a lot of C teams, if I'm being real.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing C, B teams.
Yeah. A is very iffy.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, it's
maybe.
Yeah, maybe 4. I don't think I'm going to be very easy to give.
Yeah.
Maybe 5, actually. I can see 5.
But,
but yeah, let's start with Minnesota. And for Minnesota, I think I would say a B because I'm trying to find out where they were listed in the power rankings preseason. 22, and they were the 8th seed in the playoffs. And they were actually pretty enjoyable to watch this year. They had a new culture with Pat Bev being there. And it's Cat's second playoff appearance. It's their second playoff appearance in the last 15 years. A lot of good moments.
No, because when they won the
play-in, it was
oh my God.
City of Minnesota was on fire. City of Minnesota was really on fire.
Because Pat Bev and Ant just jumped on the scores table.
Little score table, yeah. It was a big deal for them, but I don't blame them. They're always just so bad. So it's it's hard for me to be why are you acting like that? I mean, they've never been there, so. And then Pat Bev beating the Clippers and talking trash about his team he was literally on last year was funny.
That's hilarious.
But I think it's a B. They just exceeded expectations. They definitely exceeded expectations, but they didn't.
They didn't go above and beyond to get the A.
Yeah, they were just B. They did better than expected by a lot, but not enough to be an A.
Yes.
Memphis is an A to me. I think they're an A. Let's see where they're at.
Such a young core.
Right. Power rankings. I'm gonna read exactly what they wrote about where are the Grizzlies at? Grizzlies are at 16, I think. And 17. During his 2+ seasons with the team, the Memphis Grizzlies were a plus minus
1.6 points
per 100 possessions with Jonas Valanciunas on the floor and 1.6 with all. That made trade that sent him to New Orleans for a package including Steven Adams, a bit of surprise. When you take a look at it through the prism of what's best for John Morant, it makes some sense. Valanciunas is an old school bruiser who does a lot of damage on the low block, blah, 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 blah. In the gauntlet of the West, and this is pretty much what their overall synopsis is of the Grizzlies. In the gauntlet of the West, that tweak might not be enough to escape the play-in tournament, but it isn't hard to see why the Grizzlies did it. So I mean, they're talking about the Grizzlies as if it's like they might not even make it out of the play-in.
Hmm.
You know, they were the 2 seed. Like the
Yeah,
Grizzlies were extremely good. And honestly, I think
partially. Go ahead.
the Grizzlies were the like highlight of the season. They had
Hmm.
specifically John Morant, but like
Jaw.
they had so many just big moments for them this year. That series they had against the Timberwolves was probably off the top of my head, just like I think it might be my favorite. One of my favorites. It's hard to say because the game 7 ones are always going to be, the best
They're always
ones.
going to be the best ones because
But like,
there's so much on the line.
right. But that series was pretty good. For a non-game 7 one,
It
it's
had
probably the best one.
it had blows going back and forth at each
Yeah.
other.
And the trash talking, things like that.
Hmm.
But
John
they
Morant had
just
more tweets than field goals attempted.
right. Like they just exceeded expectations severely. Like 2
Hmm.
seed after being projected to maybe not even make it out of the play-in is insane.
This is because John Morant exploded, literally,
Right.
because you've seen his explosiveness.
Yeah.
Get it? And
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson stepped up a lot.
He was able to stay healthy.
He had so
Like-
many blocks, and he was defensive first
He-
or second team. I think first team. I
He
think,
was
right?
defensive first team, I'm pretty sure. And
He
he was
was
in
up there,
depoy
yeah.
conversations for a bit until later in the
Yes.
year.
But it's just late game decision making that led to them losing the Warriors
And then injuries, of course, because Ja got hurt.
and
so.
injuries. Yeah, because Jaw got hurt. But yeah.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson played the most games he's ever played in his career so far. He played 78. Last year he played 11. The year before that he played 57. Rookie year he played 58. So he actually played most of the season. Yeah, I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with Desmond Bain. Got so much better this year. He went from 9 points
Oh,
per
yeah,
game
for
to like
sure.
18. Like Zaire Williams, who had a very bad season at Stanford, was a very useful role player off the bench. Very solid defender. Tyus Jones, very good for them. A lot of guys on that team just showed up, and they just unfortunately couldn't get it done in the playoffs. But even then, like you would think, oh, they're the 2 seed. You would expect them to make the conference finals. When you give context to it, for much of the season, they were viewed as the 3 seed.
Yeah.
And then they just ended up getting the 2 seed. Like I need to see how many games they're ahead of the Warriors, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close. Yeah, it's 53 wins to 56.
53 to 56.
It's really close. So I was never like Grizzlies are winning the chip this year. I don't think anyone really was. But
it's
like,
just that veteran presence kicks in come playoff time.
Yeah. So had they
it was shown in that series against the Warriors.
Yeah,
clearly.
they've been doing this.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think A is fair though. I think they're probably
A is
one of the few teams I'm comfortable giving an A.
For sure.
Washington. As far as their season goes, yeah, I think C is fair.
They're projected 21st.
I think their trades they made were actually really good. I think the Westbrook trade, I got to look at everything that was in that trade, but I'm pretty sure that was a really good trade. Because I know for a fact it was KCP, Kyle Kuzma, who really like had a resurgence this year. Montrezl Harrell,
Someone else was in that package too.
Montrezl Harrell, who they traded again to Charlotte. And then they got picks, I'm pretty sure. So, I'm trying to look. Wizards Westbrook trade. Yeah, they got 2024 second rounder, 2028 second rounder, the 22nd overall pick last year, who I don't remember exactly who that ended up being. Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell. So, I mean, like, that's a pretty good trade. Then they trade pretty much Spencer Dinwiddie, and Davis Bertans for KCP or for Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, did you lag?
Yeah, on my screen it says internet connection unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Essentially, KP was a good trade.
Yeah.
KCP getting out those guys was good. I think what their front office did was good, but they just didn't have an impressive season to be. And
they
also
didn't wow.
Yeah.
Or they didn't improve. They were just expected how to perform, and yeah, they didn't.
Also, I don't love where the Wizards are right now.
They're in such a tough situation.
Yeah, because they traded for Porzingis, which makes it seem like they want to win now.
But they also have to re-sign Beal But how can
I
they
don't.
re-sign Beal if Porzingis is getting paid a lot of money?
Yeah, and they're gonna have to give Beal like a super max. Like if they pay
Yeah.
Beal the max he can get paid, he'll be the highest paid player in the NBA by a lot. But they do have a good pick. It just depends on what direction they go. Like if they go win now, I don't think that would be very smart because I think they'd be in a
They're missing
situation.
pieces.
Yeah, they'd be in a situation where like the Magic were before they traded Vucevic, where they're just constantly an 8 seed, and they just never like they're
They would
too
be
bad to get a high
pushing.
pick, and then too
Yeah.
good to, or too good to be get a bad or a high pick, and then too bad to win anything. So
Yeah.
if I were them, I'd probably not bring back Beal, but that's just where I am on the situation. Maybe do a sign and trade with someone, but as far as their season goes, the games they played, the 82 they gave us to watch, just pretty much where they're supposed to be. They
Yeah.
like yeah. Golden State though, they're in the finals.
Easily.
They're in the finals. So
Yeah.
just if you're in the finals, I'm gonna just put the Celtics there too. We can talk about both at the same time. We'll start with the Warriors though, because that was the actual team. But if you make the finals, you had the best season. You made it to the finals. But as far as the Warriors season goes, Steph starts off really hot. MVP favorite for a bit. Then he
goes on
off.
tour.
He goes on tour. They get Clay back. Draymond's out for a bunch of times. So throughout the season, they just were doing.
Jordan Poole ends up stepping up.
Yeah, they were dealing with a lot of inconsistencies from the big three, but fortunately, Andrew Wiggins had an all-star level season. Jordan Poole stepped up and has a case for being the most improved player. Jonathan Kuminga was solid in the minutes he played. Moses Moody was solid in the minutes he played.
Kevon Looney.
Right, Kevon Looney was solid in the minutes he played. They just got a good performance out of everyone.
They just have a great farm system.
Despite the inconsistencies or injuries from their superstars. Again, they made the finals too. And for much of the season, they were the 2 seed. They just fell off late because of, injuries, because we didn't know if Steph was going to be healthy come playoff time. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. They literally made the finals. So
it's really easy to rank a team that makes the finals because
then they made the finals. For Boston, it's and actually,
similar situation.
Let's rank it within the A. I think the Celtics are the highest A.
Celtics are the highest A. They weren't expected to make it that far.
Right. And I think,
if anything,
well, actually, I think the Grizzlies are the highest A because of not even making the play-in.
Yeah.
The Celtics were at least projected to be a solid playoff team, but they just, once the season started, they were just struggling for a
Celtics are actually projected 13.
Yeah, 13 to 22 is wild. That's a very big difference. What's it called? But the Celtics just started off really bad, 23 and 25 at one point, I'm pretty sure. They finished 51 and 31. They're the 2 seed.
Highest defensive rating in the league.
Yeah, best defense in the league. Marcus Smart wins DPOY. Jason Tatum grows everywhere in his game, but specifically as a defender and a playmaker, he gets a lot better than where he's been lately. Or
Jaylen Brown solidifying he's a 2-way player.
Yeah, solidifying the fact that he's a star player because people act like he's not a star player. He doesn't get enough credit for as good of a player he is.
I think he's high-key slept on.
He's very slept on. He's one of the best shooting guards in the league. And people act like he's not.
He was in conversations for being working for NASA.
Right.
Bro's smart.
Super smart. Dude, he's so smart that
teams passed up on him
because they thought he was too smart, right? Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Rob Time Lord was very good this year. Al Horford had a resurgence. Even in the regular season, he just he went from being on one of the worst contracts in the league, or what was considered one of the worst contracts in the league, to actually being a very valuable player that I think a lot of contending teams would want. I'm trying to think of someone else. The trade for Derek White was very smart. Peyton Pritchard was solid. Grant Williams had a big game in the playoffs. But overall, the Celtics they didn't necessarily overperform from day one because they were projected to be good, but
they just had a rough start.
And then throughout the season, the turnaround they had is what really makes them an A. Plus, they did make the finals, and their playoff run was extremely hard. They had 4-game. They swept, then they win Game 7, then they win Game 7 again. So
Celtics in 7.
Yeah.
Anyways, the next thing we have Jazz.
Utah. Oh my God! D. I think they're comfortable.
comfortable D.
And it's like they had a good regular season, right?
Mhm.
It's just for
They
them,
again had a good regular season, but they just folded in the playoffs.
it's the fashion they went out that makes me so mad. Because it's
Yeah.
like okay, so going into the series, Luka is hurt for I think he missed 3 games of that series.
3 games.
You know, you would expect
The Jazz
specifically
to
the
jump up.
Mavericks, like
To jump on that.
right. If it's let's look at other teams who are in the West. Like if it's I'm trying to think of another team in the West that could go without the superstar and still probably be competitive to an extent. Like the Grizzlies without Ja are still
Mhm.
known to be a competitive team.
Yeah.
The Warriors without Steph, that's like a bit of a stretch, but you know, they have guys who could step up, who if you argue it, it makes sense that they could.
Jordan Poole with that really high ceiling
Right.
can step up and replace
Like
that
I could
Steph Curry role.
I could see a situation where the Warriors without Steph, with Clay, Jordan, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins could still beat the Jazz. The
Mhm.
Mavericks without Luka should not have beat the Jazz. That's not something that should have ever happened. Like,
Yeah.
and this sounds like we're hating on the Jazz or the Mavericks. They're still a great team, and honestly, I think they're in that conversation to be a B or an A, but we'll get to them. But like, you know, from Luka Doncic to Jalen Brunson is a huge drop off. Even though Jalen Brunson was very good in that series, when you're the Jazz, you shouldn't be losing to the Mavericks with Jalen Brunson as their best player.
Yeah. Like you
That's
just can't be losing
embarrassing.
those games.
Right. That's very embarrassing. For them, it's strictly the fact on how they went out. Regular season wise, they were the 5 seed.
They had a good regular season. That's it.
Yeah, and let's see where they're projected to be. Because last year they were the 1 seed of the West, so they might have had a very high projection. They were projected to be the 3rd best team in the league. Like they had plus 1,400 title odds.
Wild.
And they went out in the most sad way possible and weren't even, you know, and out of the Western Conference teams, they were the highest, you know, they were projected to essentially be the 1 seed. They were highest in the power rankings preseason in the West. Yeah, they just went out sad. Like they're probably going to be the lowest playoff team, I would hope. Or no, there's one that's going to be on the same tier as them, I'm pretty sure. But like otherwise,
oh yeah.
Just I don't even want to talk about them. They need to blow it up. Toronto,
high B,
like higher than Toronto than Minnesota. Because where was Toronto projected? Toronto was projected to be
23.
23. So yeah, not in the playoffs. And not only were they in the playoffs, but they were competitive in the playoffs. They took the Sixers to a few games. I mean, of course, you know, give context to it. Joel was hurt for a bit in that series, but the fact that they even made the playoffs is impressive enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they missed 1 year of the playoffs. Even in this, it does say if that keeps up in the regular season. Well, they talk about a bunch of stuff like Scotty Barnes and stuff, and they say they have the potential to climb up the power rankings quickly. So I guess there's some expectation that they could potentially be as good as they were, but still, in general, in consensus, they weren't considered like a playoff team like that. Scotty Barnes, you know, rookie of the year, can't be mad at that. Fred VanVleet had all-star conversations for a little bit. You know, I'm just impressed with the Raptors, but that's what I have to say about them. I don't know if you.
I'm extremely impressed with them because what's his name? Oh my God, what is his name? What is his name?
Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes.
Scotty. He made an immediate impact on the team, being a great two-way player on that team, affecting them, making their pretty much their theory of bigs running it up the court instead of typically the big getting the rebound, passing to the point guard. They just get the rebound, run it up themselves.
Yeah, they have a lot of like versatile 3-4-5s.
I think they're building the future of the NBA. Hot take.
Yeah.
So
taller ball handling players.
Yeah. Taller ball handling players who can handle the ball, create their own shot, and just change the game.
Space the floor and very good two-way team. Like potentially be a very good two-way team.
For sure. I mean, this might be, you know, we all know Fred VanVleet isn't the tallest, but still, he's part of the team.
Other than him, though.
They're all pretty big.
Gary Trent Jr., I don't know if the Gary Trent Jr. trade was this year, huh?
I believe so, yes.
Or it was last year. It was one or the other. The Norman Powell for Gary Trent trade. But whatever it is, the Raptors did a good job of trading for Gary Trent because he was also very good this year. Yeah, the Raptors just have a way of, and this is more modern, like maybe last 4 or 5 years, but they're just so
Mhm.
good at developing talent, developing coaches,
Oh
staying,
yeah,
keeping players like getting better. They
yeah.
developed OG to be where he is now. He's very solid. They developed Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet is a second round pick. If
He
my
was
memory
undrafted.
serves me right, he was undrafted. So even then,
Yeah.
uh, and then Pascal wasn't the highest pick. They developed him to be very, very good. Um, yeah, they trade for Gary Trent, who's younger, and they could develop him, and then they get Scotty Barnes, and that's another very good pick, uh, rookie of the year. So very impressed with the Raptors. You want to move on to Philly?
Yes.
Philly, Philly, Philly. Uh, where were they projected? Because that's
This
really what
is
it's going to come down to me. Because I'm stuck between B or C. The
okay.
Sixers were projected
6.
6. And they were the what seed in the East? They were the 4 seed in the East. And in the NBA, yeah, they weren't the 6th best team. They were like the 8th best team, which is a slight fall off.
It's not the worst. Injuries hurt them with Embiid.
Yeah, I
That's
think I
it.
would. I mean, if we're gonna be
Harden's
consistent,
playoff performance, I guess.
if we're gonna be consistent, and
I
say if he
wouldn't
met
be.
expectations, it's
Go
a
ahead.
C. If it's meeting expectations, then they met expectations.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
don't. I low key just hope they would have made it farther.
right. It's also like, again, like I said, if you're being consistent, we can't make an
Yeah.
argument. We can't have just made this argument for the Raptors and the Timberwolves to be
Hmm.
B and then put the Sixers at C when they didn't do anything to exceed expectations. They just
Yeah.
were as good as they were
I low key
projected
have
to
them
be.
at. No, it doesn't make sense to put them at D because they didn't fall off.
Yeah, they didn't disappoint,
Yeah.
but neither did they.
Neither did they
They were just a
exceed.
C. They
So
were
it's
just
yeah,
a
it's a
C.
C.
Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, again, like I think, like if we go, yeah, no, the Sixers as an organization, I don't really have any beef with. I just was very
Yeah.
disappointed in James Harden specifically.
Hmm. Like in the
Uh,
playoffs, he didn't do
Throughout
anything.
the whole season, he just wasn't him. He's clearly
Yeah.
le- out of his
Lost a
prime.
step. Yeah.
Like he's far out of his prime. He's not prime James Harden anymore.
Hmm.
So I'm a bit disappointed with him. But the Sixers, they literally met expectations. So we cannot give
Yeah.
them a B or an A. To me,
Hmm.
if we're going based off the criteria we established
Yeah.
prior to this.
Okay.
But let's go
I'm
San
cool with that.
Antonio. This is a team that
25th.
they're projected 25th, and were they playing or did they miss playing?
They were playing.
They did make playing, but they lost in the plan
They
immediately.
lost. Yeah.
So
I mean,
again,
I don't even think they deserve to be in the plan because they had 34 wins.
right. Again,
C.
they technically did exceed expectations, but for the Spurs case, and I think they're probably the lowest C. And
Yeah.
they're the lowest C, but I don't think I would move them down to a D.
They're not a D because they didn't
Yeah,
underperform.
they
Like
just
you
it's
can only
just out
expect
of the
one
C's so
person to do
far,
so
they're the
much.
lowest
Yeah.
C.
For sure.
You know, it's just like, they weren't projected to really do anything.
Yeah.
And the Spurs are probably the team. I think this is just the NBA fans' a consensus. The Spurs have always been labeled as this very boring organization. And now that they're not even like a good team,
Hmm.
no one's really watching the Spurs like that. I know
Yeah.
Jakopoto was playing very good this year. I know DeJounte was very, very good for
Doing
a lot of
DeJounte
this year.
things.
Uh, I mean, I'm excited to watch them next year because I think
Hmm.
whoever they have 2 picks in the first round. If I remember the lottery draft or the mock draft we did, they have 2 first-round picks. But I think they can get 2 guys who I would really like to watch there. I think they actually have 3.
9 and a pair of late 20s.
So 9 and 26.
2 late 20s actually,
Yeah. Okay.
and
So they
an
have,
early second.
yeah. So they have some picks to make. I think they'll be very exciting next year if they go in the direction I would go. But
Hmm.
again, I have bias towards certain players in the draft. So
Yeah.
obviously, I'm going to want to see the guys I like. But yeah, again, just by criteria, they're a C. There's not much to say. They were literally by criteria.
They just met. Yeah. There's
Uh,
nothing else to say about it though.
yeah. Phoenix.
Phoenix. That
Phoenix
is
is
A.
still an A. Like
Hmm.
I'm going to put them a higher A than Golden State, but
Hmm.
lower than these 2 teams. Best record in team history. I'm pretty sure.
I have it as a. This might be recency bias.
Mhm.
but a high B.
I
The
mean,
loss to the Mavericks is really
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah, but they okay. So here's the thing, though. They were projected to be in the conference finals. Like, okay, because where were they projected to be? Because it doesn't even matter who they were projected to go against. They were projected to be going against either like the Lakers in the conference finals,
Mhm.
the Warriors in the conference finals. Those two teams. They were
The
one game
Lakers,
short of the
Warriors,
conference
or
finals. So
Jazz. Yeah.
they were slightly underperformed, but it's by one game, I would say.
Okay.
Because they were projected to at least make the conference finals, and they
Yeah.
lost in the second round in 7 games. So
hmm
they were one game short of meeting expectations, and I'm not gonna drop them a whole grade because of essentially one game.
I have
Uh,
the Warriors above them, though. That's just my opinion. You can keep them there. Yeah, I'm good. I'm cool with that.
what's your argument for that? Because I mean, I think I could see it.
So
Because I
I
mean,
think
they made the
because
finals. Okay, so they did
yeah,
make the finals. So okay,
they made the finals, but like they finished it out. I mean, no, I don't.
it's literally no, but I see what you mean. They legit did make the finals, and in a
Yeah,
way, they exceeded expectations a little bit for the Warriors because there was a lot of questions regarding the Warriors and
because
how
at one
Clay would
the
come
Suns
back.
are arguably one of
Yeah,
the most deepest teams in the league.
they're probably the deepest team in the league. If
Yeah,
I could think off the top of my head, it's probably them. I'm trying to look
and
at where the Warriors were 9 in the odds. So yeah, that's still a little bit of an exceed of expectations, you know.
however, the Suns were 5.
And again, they were the best team in the league far and away. So it's really close. Like either way, let's just say that the Warriors and the Suns are very like interchangeable.
hmm
I think I would give the Warriors the advantage simply just because they did actually end up making the finals.
hmm
Um, but just because of how good the Suns were in the regular season, even though that's not
It
going to give them any
really
silverware,
does.
it
Yeah,
adds up.
yeah, I
Uh,
could see that.
Sacramento,
Sack Town.
where were they projected? Because they weren't good this year. Like they're projected to be one of the worst teams in the league, I assume, because they're always
24.
one of the 24. Were they the 24th team, best team? They were worse than the Spurs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they were. They had 30 wins.
Yeah, no, that's a bit of. I don't know though, because the Kings are never projected to be good necessarily. So
They
I can't be
fall under that category.
of what C or D.
C, because
They no one like even though they were lower in like standings, like being 22 instead of being 22, being like 26 is not a big deal.
they
Either way,
have
you were
6
bad.
more wins than. No, they have more wins than 6 other teams.
Right. Oh, so
So
they were 20. They were
they're
24.
24th. They were 24, but preseason was 25.
So yeah, that
So
is
yeah,
technically speaking, they did exceed expectations, but no,
yeah.
they played how we
It's
expected the
just
Kings to play.
yeah.
Um, I think honestly, if we were talking more about how I think the teams handled this season, I would have the Kings in a D because that Tyrese Halliburton
Oh
trade to me
yeah,
is
that Tyrese
still
Halliburton trade was
awful.
horrible. It was horrible.
Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Yeah, but I have nothing to say about the Kings. They're just always so inconsistent or consistently bad, inconsistently good.
Mhm.
Uh, next year they have no excuse to not be competing for a play-in spot at least. If they don't make it, but they're still like in the hunt late in the season to make the play-in, I'm fine with it just because the Clippers are going to be healthy, the Pelicans are going to be healthy, the
Nuggets
Nuggets are
should
going
be
to be
healthy.
healthy. The Blazers, I don't know where exactly they're going with their roster, but the Blazers are going to be something to worry about a bit more. Hopefully, the Lakers are a little better. So at least, hopefully, they're competitive. But
hmm
I'm just like they're the definition of mediocre.
Yeah.
Detroit. Where was Detroit projected?
27.
27, and I think they were actually like 27. They were one of the worst teams in the league.
They were actually 27.
Yeah, they met expectations. So again, technically, I would have them go C, and I think are they higher than the Kings or lower than the Kings? Because technically the Kings were higher than what they were projected by one.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm putting them over the Kings
Yeah, because
just because of that trade.
right, yeah, the trade's gonna have to come in a
Just
little
because
bit.
of that
Like
trade.
that trade was
Yeah.
terrible.
It's going
Um,
to age horribly.
Yeah, it really is. It still doesn't make sense to me to this day. And we have the
Yeah.
team that they traded with coming up next, but let's talk about the Pistons a little bit. For the Pistons, you know, I don't remember much of their like games or game moments other than like one, um, or two. I remember two things that happened with the Pistons this year as far as games. I remember the Sadiq Bey 50 piece late in the season.
Mhm.
And then I
Out of
remember
nowhere.
the Isaiah Stewart LeBron fight thing.
Yeah.
That was wild. That
I
was
remember
extremely wild.
what's his name? Oh my god.
Sadiq
Cade
Bey.
having a rough
Cade,
start.
yeah, Cade
He had
did
a
start
rough
rough.
shooting start, but he
Um,
eventually picked it up
yeah, and he
and
was getting rookie of the year considerations
cleaned it
late
up
in the
over
year.
time.
So, like that's like they were just as good as expected. I don't think
Yeah.
like literally they were the 27th best team in the league and they were projected to be the 27th
It's
best team in
just
the league.
expectations. They're just meeting them. That's it.
Right.
There's nothing else to say about that.
Yeah, definitely. Higher than the Kings, though, strictly because they didn't make a terrible Tyrese Halliburton, Domantas Sabonis trade.
Yes.
Um,
Cool. Next team is the
Indiana,
Pacers. They were projected 19.
and they definitely weren't 19.
They were not 19.
So again, technically speaking, they would be D, but we have to give context for the Pacers specifically.
Four other teams had a better record than them.
Or worse or better?
No, worse. Oh
Okay,
my
I was
gosh.
like, what?
Yeah.
They were in the
Four
playoffs?
four other teams had a worse record than them.
Yeah, so they were 25 pretty much.
Yes.
So technically speaking, they did lower expectations or miss expectations. But again, you have to give context to everything. And for the beginning of the season, it seemed as if the Pacers were moving towards a rebuild.
Yeah.
So it was pretty clear that they wanted to trade away, and I'm going to have them higher than the Kings. They wanted to trade away Sabonis and,
they wanted to get rid of people and then just pretty much start fresh.
Build up, start up fresh, and they did that. They
somehow finessed Tyrese Halliburton.
Right. So like if had they kept the roster they had at the start of the season were this bad of a team, then they would have been a disappointment. But the fact that they traded as many people as they did and what they are where they are, it makes sense.
Did TJ Warren even play?
Oh, geez, I don't think he did. I think he got. I'll search it up, but I don't think he really played at all this year. TJ Warren played a whopping. He won't even show up. Was he in the NBA this year? Like,
bro, did he even? He didn't play.
He didn't play a single game.
Not a single game.
There's so many injuries happen all the time. He probably like tore his ACL or something crazy, and just so much stuff happened that I don't remember it.
I'm checking if Malcolm Brogdon
played.
He played 36 games.
But yeah,
their
Malcolm
best
Brogdon
players
also didn't really play.
Yeah, so to give context, again, injuries hurt badly.
And they're
pretty much playing G League players.
Yeah. TJ Warren did not play this year. Like
Miles Turner missed.
TJ Warren didn't play a single game?
He didn't play.
He played 4 games last year.
What?
Where's this man at? I feel like something big.
I could have sworn he was on their roster.
He's on the roster. He's still a Pacer. I don't know what happened to him though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I feel like I should know what happened to him to where he's only played 4 games in the last 2 seasons, but I genuinely have no clue that I can think of off the top of my head. If I had to guess, it's probably an injury.
Okay. Indiana Pacers forward TJ Warren has healed up from the left foot injuries that have been troubled him since late 2020. However, Warren will not play in Indiana's final 12 games of the season as he gears up for the 2022-2023. The team announced Thursday. This was March 17, 2022.
So he's just been dealing with injuries all year?
He's just been dealing with foot injuries that he's been dealing with since 2020.
Okay. So he's going to be back for them next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that bubble performance came at what cost?
Yeah. He sacrificed his soul to drop 50 in the bubble, essentially. Yeah, but again, Pacers are one of those teams that just met expectations. For giving context, they met expectations.
Yeah.
Portland, I think we're back. We're out of the C's now. I think they're a D. But they're not.
I mean,
they're a higher D than the Jazz, though.
Because to give context, Dame wasn't there.
Dame didn't play all year, and then they traded CJ.
They traded CJ. Anthony had to step up.
Yeah, it was essentially like They honestly did
It's
have one of the
almost
worst
like a
rosters in the league.
it's almost like a blow it up year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, because now I would feel hypocritical if I did give them D, just because, like
Yeah.
you said, Dame didn't play this year. Of course, the expectation was
No, no,
for
no, no,
Dame to
no, no,
play,
no. So the expectation was for him to play. So it does make sense to give them a D.
but again, you can't. I don't think you can give someone a D for missing expectations if the expectation was health.
Mhm.
Because you can't. I mean, of course, you would expect players to be healthy. Like I would expect Anthony Davis to play more than he
They were
did.
projected 12.
Yeah. So again, they did drastically miss expectations. But
Mhm.
again, if you give context, what were they supposed to do? Like,
Yeah, they can't just sign like a Timmy off the street to
right,
play Dame's
to do
position.
what
Like
Dame
what?
does, like it's not
Yeah,
going to work that way.
yeah.
Yeah. So plus they traded CJ McCollum, they traded Norman Powell. So essentially, they didn't have their best. Well, at the start of the season, this is based off of who would have been their first, second, and third best players.
Mhm.
They didn't have their first best player for the whole season. Essentially, they traded their second best player. They traded their arguable third best player, and then how many games did Yusuf Nurkic play? And
I'm on that.
because he's always hurt. Yusuf Nurkic played 56 games this year, so he didn't play even like he played a little more than half the season. So, given context, they were as good as they should have been. They weren't they didn't have a good roster. So
Yeah,
and even then,
Magic.
I think they're better than the Kings. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
meat ride that trade, but that trade is awful. Okay,
because at
Orlando,
least the Trailblazers got benefits out of that trade.
they got
CJ.
they got CJ trade. They got who did they get? I don't remember exactly who they got. But yeah, I know they got Keon Johnson, who was someone I was high on in the draft a couple years back. But
They got
Orlando,
Trailblazers received Josh Hart, Nikhil Alexander Walker, who
oh,
was
they
then
did
later
get
traded to
Josh
the
Hart.
Jazz, Thomas Satoransky, who was traded to the Spurs, Didi Lozada, and draft compensation.
Yeah, so they really got some stuff. They did get Joe Ingles from Nikhil Alexander going to the Jazz, but yeah, they didn't really get all that much. But Orlando, because we do have a bit of teams left, and we still have to
Yeah.
be finals recap.
Yeah.
Orlando, I think they have to be next to Detroit because they were
Next to
literally
Detroit,
projected
they
to
were
be
just
the worst team in
expected
the
to be
league.
bad. Yeah.
They were the worst team in the league. There's nothing for me to say about them.
There's
They were
nothing else to say about that.
They were the worst team in the league.
Hot take, Thunder, B.
Yeah, no, I can't get behind that.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm a biased Thunder fan, but I'm not that biased.
Yeah, let's give them a C though.
They met expectations.
Yeah. They have picks. They get their picks. They make picks.
Yeah.
They
Again,
can trade picks. Again,
if we were ranking, and I think they go next to the Pistons, they're like in this little
They're
chunk
in that
of
pack.
people
Yeah, they're in that middle pack.
who just met their expectations, essentially. Teams that were projected to be bad, that were bad. And even then, like for the C's, I think you have to separate the C's a bit because the Pistons, Thunder, and Magic are not the same kind of C as the Pacers, the Pacers and the Blazers.
Hear me out. Are we really okay? Let's pause. Are we really gonna have an F?
I think there's one F.
Okay.
I think there's an F.
Let's just put them lower D. Replace D with like C minus.
So replace D with C minus.
Yeah, and then lower the Jazz to where F is now, and make that D.
Okay. I see what you mean. So C minus is. Then this is a D. This is the only place where you can do like a separation because I think if you're an A, you're comfortably an A. If you're a B, you're comfortably a B. How
because
do I add
there has to be separation.
Can I add one?
I don't think you can.
That's why I said I'll do.
That's
D
why I said we
F.
should. Yeah.
And the Jazz are a D. So I mean, like, if you were watching the episode, you know that we put the Jazz in D, but we just had to combine it because, like
we didn't realize we were going to be this
C minus.
Yeah, I think they would be.
Like C minus. Technically, the Blazers are C minus, and I think the Kings are technically a C minus. I think these teams are a C because they legitimately met expectations. C minus. There's an argument that these teams missed expectations, even though I don't agree with those arguments.
Yeah.
Knicks.
C minus.
They were a D. I think they were.
They're projected 16.
They were projected to at least make the playoffs, and the Knicks were terrible this year. Again, they went back to where they've been pretty much the better of my whole life. Like the Knicks have never been good since I've been alive that I can remember. I mean, they had those years with Melo, but like recently they have not been anything. They like 16 means you're at least the 8 seed. They didn't make the play in. So specific names I
think Julius Randle.
Julius Randle was extremely disappointing this year. Definitely like top 10 most disappointing players for this season.
RJ Barrett was once again inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, again, I like the young players they have, like RJ, Emmanuel, Mitchell Robinson's a free agent this year, but Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, they got guys who
I wish Obi Toppin gets more minutes.
He needs to get more minutes. Like, they missed expectations. They were supposed to at least make the play in. Again, give them the benefit of the doubt because the East did get better. But
they just didn't make any moves in the offseason to get better.
Right.
They got
actually they made moves, but the moves they made also weren't good. Like they brought in like Evan Fournier.
Yeah, they were lateral moves.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, and I got to watch the Knicks play live. Yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with that team. Are they worse or better than the Jazz? Because
they are, in my opinion,
at least,
I think they're better.
Because the Jazz at least, what's it called?
Made the
met expectations in the regular season, and then in the playoffs they
just fell off.
I think the Jazz are still higher.
I think the Jazz are higher.
The Jazz got to be higher. All right, so we're on the home stretch of teams. We got New Orleans
Pelicans.
Where were they projected?
Give me a high C, low B.
High C. Yeah, I think again this is kind of like the Dame conversation where you can't expect health. If they had Zion and they were where they are this year, I'd be a bit more disappointed. But they didn't have Zion the whole year.
They didn't even have him.
Yeah, they didn't have him at all. So I think, they're better than the Wizards, worse than the Sixers.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to put them because, Wizards were not expected to really do anything. Sixers were expected to do something, and they got to where they were supposed to be, but they didn't exceed or anything. Pelicans,
they made the playoffs.
Yeah, Pelicans were expected to be really good with Zion. They didn't have Zion, and then they still made the playoffs and were pretty good in the playoffs.
Trade for CJ.
Next year, I think the Pelicans are going to be very good.
Jose
I mean, of course, if Zion plays, they're going to be very good. But
BI stepped up.
BI played very good this year. Wasn't he an All-Star this year? He was in All-Star considerations. We don't need to know if he's an All-Star or not, but he was definitely in the conversation. But
he was an All-Star caliber player. He was snubbed from the All-Star team from fadeawayworld.net.
Yeah. Mavs are next up. I think they're an A.
A, easily. They exceeded expectations by making that far in the first place. They shouldn't have been there. They somehow made it there.
I think they're the lowest A, though.
Luka's a GOAT. I'm just saying.
Yeah. They should not have made it past the first round, realistically. And they made it to the conference finals and still took a game in the conference finals. Yeah. Luka went crazy. Jalen Brunson went crazy. As a whole season, a little more inconsistent. I mean, they were the 4 seed, so
yeah, they're the 4 seed.
Yeah,
their people stepped up when they needed to. Not really later against the Warriors, but
throughout the season they were there.
And
throughout every other playoff series they were there. But
except for that series, they were there.
Right, and then in the playoffs they definitely exceeded expectations.
For sure,
drastically exceeded expectations. But yeah, I think they're there.
Heat.
I think they're B.
B.
Yeah, I think
between Toronto. I think they were between Toronto.
Yeah, because Toronto drastically exceeded expectations. Minnesota even more than the Heat did, but I think the Heat were just.
I think the Heat
were
good
just to a point where you have to give them higher than the Timberwolves.
Yeah, because they had the best defense in the league.
And they're. I'm trying to see where they were projected. Heat, and this is all according to Bleacher Report. I don't know if we ever said that, but this is Bleacher Report.
10.
ESPN might have a different one.
They're projected 10.
So yeah, they exceeded expectations to an extent. But if you look at the teams above them, I don't think they're in that same conversation.
hmm
Again, it's about storylines to a point, and there's no real storyline on the comparison of the Grizzlies go from projected not make the play-in or not win the play-in to 2 seed. Celtics have this huge turnaround and then make the finals. Warriors, their players come back, they make the finals. Suns have the best season in their team's history. Mavericks exceed expectations in the playoffs. The Heat were just very, very good, a bit better than they were expected to be, but they don't have the storyline for me to be like, yeah, they are up there with those teams.
Yeah,
That's really all I have to say.
I can see that. There's really not much to say about them, anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty much they fit into the criteria of B.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks also fit into the criteria of B.
Oh yeah.
I think they're a little bit of lower B because the expectations were higher for them. But again,
after all, to put things into context, Chris Middleton wasn't there during that
playoff. So like,
yeah,
with the injuries, you probably realize they're probably not repeating, and even then, with the injuries, they still went to 7 in the second round, so they were close to the conference finals. So you can't be too mad, and it's really hard to repeat. Like I think a lot of NBA fans don't understand how, or just sports fans in general, it is so hard to repeat and like sustain greatness in sports. There's so many distractions, injuries, you get wear and tear. There's just a lot to think about when it comes to repeating a championship. But you can't be too disappointed in them.
Yeah,
they're still competitive. Yeah, it's the team.
Lakers.
It's the team.
Lakers.
Far and away the worst team of the league this year.
Horrible.
Terrible. If it comes down to expectations and not meeting expectations, the Lakers were the definition of failing every expectation. And their expectations changed so much throughout the season. Like beginning of the year, it was Lakers Nets is going to be the finals, right? Then we see they're struggling a bit, and we're like, okay, Lakers aren't going to be the 1 seed or anything, but they're going to be in the playoffs. And then LeBron and them are going to get healthy. They're going to build up chemistry, and they're going to turn it up. Then they keep struggling. It never happened. Then it's like, okay, they're going to make the play-in, and then they're going to turn it up, right? And it just never happened. Now, like we were waiting throughout the whole season for the Lakers to turn it around, and they didn't. And the expectation for them was a finals team. It wasn't conference finals team. It was finals team.
They were projected 4.
Yeah, 4th best team in the league.
Plus 400.
Betting 4th
odds.
Best team in the league. Were there, like, where are they in the standings? How many teams had less wins than them? The only teams that had less wins than them were the Kings, the Blazers, the Thunder, the Rockets, and the
Pacers, Pistons, and Magic.
And that's a terrible group to be in, because you have to, when you give context to who those teams are, you might be like, oh, well, they still have more wins than the Blazers. The Blazers didn't have Damian Lillard the whole year. They traded CJ. They didn't have Yusuf for most of the year. They traded Norman Powell.
Rockets
they're a bunch of
rookies.
Yeah,
the Thunder, young core.
Kings aren't
they're just the Kings.
Yeah, they're just the Kings. And then in the East, the Magic were already projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. The Pistons are a very young core. Pacers traded away their players, and then TJ Warren didn't play. Malcolm Brogdon didn't play all that much either. The Lakers have LeBron and Westbrook and
half of AD.
Half of AD. When you have LeBron, if you miss the playoffs, you missed expectations. If you have LeBron and you don't win a series in the playoffs, you miss expectations. And maybe not so much in the last couple years, but maybe 3-4 years ago, if you had LeBron and you didn't make the finals, you missed expectations. I'm just extremely disappointed in the Lakers because, I'm a LeBron fan. LeBron's like my guy. I mean, as a Thunder fan, I'm somewhat a Westbrook fan. I'm not as big of a Westbrook fan as other Thunder fans are, but I still like Westbrook. I like AD, like Melo. They have a lot of guys who I like and wanted to see win, but it was just the ball got dropped by so many people involved. Westbrook dropped the ball. He didn't play good. He's a little overhated as far as how bad he played, because his numbers look good, but he just had a lot of really boneheaded.
He just had bad moments,
and he's just not a good
overtake
fit.
The good moments,
right? And he's not a good fit for their roster.
He gets the stats, but he just doesn't passed the
Yeah.
eye test.
AD dropped the ball. I mean, you can't say he dropped the ball because he's just never been the most healthy guy in the world. But like, the health thing is really starting to be really bad.
Really showing.
Really, really bad.
When you went to the game, right?
Yeah.
And you said that he was just next to the trainer.
Yeah, before the game started, he was like stretched. Like, of course, everyone stretches before game, but this man was getting immediate medical attention. He's also, and this is just something that I think is really annoying with watching him play. Every time he gets hit, he acts as if he's done for the year. It happened a lot because I went to the Lakers-Knicks game just for context. This is the Lakers-Knicks game where Westbrook got booed. This is a very big game. I think this game marks the point where everyone was like, yeah, the Lakers are done. They went to OT. Julius Randle got a tech. Like, I'm just trying to think of things that happened. But yeah, every time AD gets just pushed or falls to the ground, it's like this drastically, like, you're holding your breath. Like, you don't know if this guy's going to miss 20 games. And it's just like, for someone who was projected to be at this point, like, if you go back 5 years ago, you're projecting him to be probably one of the best 3 players in the league. He's not met that expectation. LeBron had a good statistical season, but you want to see wins more than you want to see 30 points a game.
He just didn't have that supporting cast.
And of course, the guy who would get blamed would be the coach, Frank Vogel. When I don't think he should have got fired. Like,
I think it comes down to management on building that roster.
Right. It's the people who should really be getting flamed is Jeannie Buss and the people who run who are like the
things upstairs.
Right. Because getting Westbrook was dumb. And when you look at what they traded.
No, because wasn't there like a THT trade, but they were like, no, we want THT.
Yeah, before the season, and that's another ball they dropped. THT's value plummeted this season. Before the season, THT was a very hot commodity that if they were willing to trade him, they probably could have got something really solid. But they were like, nah, man, we want THT. See where that's got you now? Now no one really wants THT. And they keep trying. Now they're like, hey, we'll give you guys
now they want to get rid of him
in a 2027 first round pick, and no one wants it anymore. They missed the chance. And just everyone dropped the ball on the Lakers side of the ball. And I really think, I'm looking at the other teams, they're the F of the season. They are the definition of missing expectations, and not even slightly missing expectations. They were so bad. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
That's all I have to say about them.
I'm done talking about the Lakers until next year.
Yeah.
Unless they
Rockets.
Houston is literally with
they're in that middle pack.
Yeah, they're with these 4 teams where they were projected to be bad and they remained bad.
Young core showing splashes, yada yada. Right. We all know how it be.
Jalen Green started to light up a lot more later into the season.
He had to figure out his groove. He ended up finding it, and then
Sengun
showed that he can be an elite scorer in the league.
They're literally anything you said for the Thunder, the Magic, and the Pistons can be said for the Rockets. They were not projected to be good in the first place, so I'm not gonna hold it against them that they were bad. Denver.
I have Denver as a low B, but I would not be mad if you put them at a C.
I think low B as well is fair. We knew Jamal wasn't playing the whole year pretty much, and then we thought MPJ was going to be there. But he got hurt
out within the first week.
Yeah, very early. MPJ was out. So preseason ranking, I wonder where you guys were preseason wise. Because like, I would imagine they thought he was going to be 7.
7.
Okay, they were off something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about 7. That's a little wild.
It's not. I can see it, but like
I can't. Like, I literally
I can see
cannot.
it, but like Jamal wasn't there. He's not going to come back until
and then
February.
I guess I can see
it wasn't even worth him coming back.
MPJ last year was really good, and then like looking at it now, his values dropped. He's another player who's looked at as being a young player who you really wouldn't say is the biggest asset or the best asset.
Yeah.
But, Yeah.
MPJ after the All-Star break averaged 22.3 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.1 threes while shooting 46% from deep.
Yeah, definitely he was looking very, very good. But 7 still seems like a bit of a stretch. Like I want to see the teams they have you guys higher than. Miami, you guys being over on Miami is crazy to me. Like that just doesn't make sense. Okay, it's really just Miami. Like you guys should have been lower than Miami. So I guess
we should have been lower than Golden State.
I think the argument for Golden State is a little better because they didn't expect Jordan Poole to jump as high as he did. They didn't expect Andrew Wiggins to be an all-star, and we didn't know what we were getting from Klay Thompson. But Miami, I think it was pretty clear they were going to be good this year. It's pretty darn obvious they were going to be pretty good this year. But you guys, again, exceeded expectations given the context. Bucks, but the teams ahead of you guys, I think, just exceeded more, did more with their seasons, or just one of those two. But Cleveland, I think Cleveland is also a B. I think Cleveland is actually a much.
They're like the higher B than the T-Wolves, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're like right here. They were projected to be so bad. So bad to the point where people on other podcasts through the wire, shout out them, were having discussions whether the Cavs or the Pistons were going to have more wins this year. And the Cavs for a good chunk of the year were a 4 to 5 seed, who was very competitive. Darius Garland develops into an all-star. Jared Allen is an all-star this year. Evan Mobley is one of the best rookie big men we've seen in years. And they it just comes down to the fact that they
take off.
Drastically exceeded expectations. That's all I really.
Great improvement from Darius Garland. I think he should have won Most Improved.
I think there's just so many guys who got better though.
Yeah.
Like Ja did really get better, but I don't think he should have won it. Personally.
I think Darius Garland took the biggest leap.
Darius Garland or Jordan Poole, or even Desmond Bane. It's like
so I think Jordan Poole has the highest ceiling out of all of them. But I think Darius Garland took the biggest jump because we've seen flashes of it from Jordan Poole, but Garland was the more consistent.
Right, he was consistently giving you double doubles. Okay, I see the argument. He honestly does have a case for Most Improved Player. Was he even? I don't think he was a finalist for Most Improved Player.
No, I don't think he was.
Wild. But he definitely is our Most Improved Player. And next year, next NBA season, throughout the NFL season, we need to do our own award show. Usually this is something we would talk about off pod, but that just hit me right now. We should definitely do our own award show because that would be very cool. I think it would be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Hornets. That's all I really have to say about Cleveland. Yeah, they
just keep it simple.
I think I would say C- a little for them.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that because they didn't really improve, but they also I don't know, they were just bleh.
Yeah, I think there was more of a expectation for them to make a jump. Like they literally their season played out the exact same way as it did last year. They were this very exciting highlight team to watch in the beginning during the regular season. They make the play-in and they get blown out in the play.
They just get blown out because they aren't a playoff team. They're just fun to watch during the regular season. That's all.
Right. I was really hoping to see more of a jump. Oh, and if we're talking about Most Improved Player, Miles Bridges had a case too. Like there's so many guys who improved this year. So it's Anthony Simons had a case. That's like something completely different to talk about, but those guys also have cases for that award.
For sure.
But for the Hornets, it's literally just comes down to the fact that they pretty much stayed the exact same, which is a little disappointing for a young team that was okay as is.
Maybe they were expecting LaMelo to take that giant jump, but
I wasn't expecting him to take a giant jump. I was expecting them to just make a jump as a team to at least be a little more competitive in the play-in, but they literally went out the exact same way.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say, though. You want to move on to Clippers?
Yeah, let's go Clippers.
I think we got to go Clippers B again.
B.
I think Clippers are
they only had PG for like
lower
30.
Lower Cavs.
Oh, yeah. They only had PG for like 30-ish games. No Kawhi
games,
at all for the whole season.
No Kawhi at all. And they still made the play-in. They had a winning record.
That's a dub.
Yeah.
That's a dub.
If we didn't have a play-in, they would have made the playoffs based off of record. And for you to not have your best player or your second best player, and have guys like Reggie Jackson show up,
Mhm.
Marcus, one of the Morrises. It's not Markeith. It's Markeith. Marcus or
Markeith? I don't
Markeith. One
know.
of the Morris brothers. They
One of
could
the twins.
alternate between teams every day, and I would not know.
Yeah.
You know, um,
Did you know they have identical tattoos?
they do?
I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere.
Why would they do that? Like,
I
how are
don't
we
know.
supposed to differentiate you guys? Oh my god, that's terrible. Like, why?
No, because like apparently there's also like this rumor at one point where one of the twins got injured very badly.
Oh, and the
So
other
like
twin went to
the
go
other
play
one
for him?
subbed in. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was wild.
Oh
Yeah, they
my
have the
god.
same. They have identical tattoos. It's
Yeah, no,
wild.
that's wild. I think they also, I heard this somewhere, but they share a bank account as well.
Oh my god,
They just do everything together, which is great. It's all about having that sibling bonding time. But my God, bro, the matching type, like,
bro.
how am I supposed to differentiate you guys?
At least it's
Like,
not like the McCourty twins on
right.
Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, they share an Instagram account too. That's wild. Yeah. If you
Wait, they
have
do?
twins, yeah, they have at least as far as like
I know the McCourty twins do for Mark.
oh not the
what are
Mark,
they?
yeah, no, the McCourty twins do. I wasn't talking
Yeah.
about the Morris.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think they do.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're a twin and you're grown, you don't need to be twinning no more. Like, it's time to grow up. Okay, like, you are too old to have a twin. I'm gonna need you to be your own person.
Yeah, they got different accounts.
Yeah, once you get past the age of like 20, you don't need to have a twin anymore. You got to figure it out. Dye your hair or something, because it's
Like-
time to move on. We're hitting a new phase in our life.
Bro, it's literally twin day every day for them.
Right. And then there was a couple years where they both played in LA. So
Mhm.
they just did the exact same things pretty much. Um,
They also have the same jump shot.
right.
Everything's identical.
Identical. I think they wore the exact same things during games too. Like,
God.
it's just sick. But on the Clippers note, it just comes down to the fact that they didn't have their two best players and they weren't played.
They
by
were
record
they
playoff
just
team.
over exceeded by again what happened on their team,
Right.
injuries, and they just overperformed.
Now, if we're talking about if the Clippers played like this and they had Kawhi and Paul George, they would be in the D
They would
tier.
be in the they would be in the D tier. Yeah.
But you have to context everything, and they were comfortably a B team. Again, it really just comes down to that thing: the fact that they didn't have those guys.
Mhm.
Chicago. I think they're also a B.
Yeah.
I think they're a lower B than.
Lower
I think
B
they're
than
higher
the
than
T-
you guys. Yeah.
Higher than Nuggets, lower than T-Wolves.
Yeah.
They weren't expected much. They weren't expected to do much in the first place.
Yeah, and I think that's just because everyone was like on the DeMar DeRozan signing hate train, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he was in
he was
MVP conversations for a
He was going
bit.
crazy. He also hit like game winners and then like 40
back-to-back
piece the next
days.
game.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
There was like a good 3-week stretch
Yeah.
where he was like the best player in the league. But the Bulls were where are they technically ranked at as far as like projection?
16, I believe.
Yeah, and they were a bit better than 16. And again,
Oh no, 14. My fault.
Oh, okay. So they are close to actually 14. They slightly exceeded expectations, but I think it's more about the DeMar DeRozan thing and how people
Yeah.
just thought that was not going to work out at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that it did to the extent that it did. And really, if they were healthy, they would have comfortably been an A because
Mhm.
they were the 1 seed at one point. So, can't be mad at that. Like, can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I take into consideration. If I'm a fan of this team, am I upset? Like,
Mhm.
if I'm the bottom 3 teams, yeah, I'm pissed. The 4 teams above that, I'm a little annoyed with an external factor. Like Blazers, you want to be good when you're the Blazers and you have Damian Lillard,
Mhm. You don't want to waste that.
Right. Sacramento, I'm mad at the Tyrese Halliburton trade, and Hornets, I'm mad at how stagnant they are. If I'm a C team, I'm not ecstatic or mad.
Mhm.
I'm just like, we did what we were supposed to do this year.
We're expected to do this. I'm
Yeah.
not mad. Yeah.
Right. If I'm B, I am happy with what we accomplished. There's still room to grow, and it's not the best season ever. There's some points where it's like, I regret a couple things.
Yeah.
But overall, a successful season. like if you're C plus, you had a successful season. As far as
Yeah.
our criteria,
Mhm.
C plus means you had a successful season, and yeah, only 3 teams to me had a or well, 4. We're gonna get a 4th one. Had a
Oh,
unsuccessful
right
season.
now.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Brooklyn. Yeah, they're a D, but they're above
Again,
the Lakers.
recency bias, but this is because of playoff performance. They were chip favorites in NBA Power Rankings preseason. They were actually
Yeah,
projected.
I don't even think this is recency bias. Like, if you just like
2.
the amount of drama they had throughout the year is very disappointing. You know,
Insane.
this was supposed to be the year where we actually got to see the Harden, Kyrie, KD, big 3 like for a full healthy season.
Mhm.
And you know,
We never had it.
yeah, we never got it. That is the biggest failed big 3 I've ever seen. It's still crazy to me how they got those 3 guys and they didn't even play a whole season together.
And they've been together for 3, I believe, right?
No, Harden
2?
and Kyrie have been together for 3.
Ooh.
Or not Harden and Kyrie.
KD and Kyrie.
KD and Kyrie were together for 3.
Yeah.
The first year, KD was dealing with a torn Achilles and didn't play. Year
Mhm.
2, it's Harden and Kyrie, and then they trade for Harden at the deadline. Year 3, this is year 3 of
Mhm.
this is year 2 of Harden, Kyrie, KD. This is year 3 of Kyrie, KD.
Okay.
They want to see what they get with the big 3 all together, and you know,
It just
Harden,
doesn't work.
yeah, Harden leaves. That's a disappointment on its own, and I think honestly, if the Lakers weren't as bad as they were, they would be getting a lot of slander too.
Yeah.
Because it was just not a again
Getting swept in the first round, but then
these
again,
2
the team that
teams.
did sweep them made the chip. So I'm not.
These literal 2 teams at the bottom of the thing were projected to be in the finals going against each other potentially.
They were finals favorites.
And neither of them, well, one made the playoffs but got swept, and then one didn't even make the playoffs. And actually, the Nets didn't make the playoffs; they made the play-in and played their way into the playoffs. So I didn't even think about that. The Nets had 44 wins. Yeah, they were a play-in team that played into the playoffs. Yeah, just not a successful season for the Nets. I give them a little bit more credit because they made the playoffs, I guess. Like hip hip hooray, you made the playoffs. You had Kyrie, Harden, and KD. You were supposed to be, you know, still in the still playing right now. But I guess you guys made the playoffs, so you're better than the Lakers for that. And lastly, Atlanta.
See,
I think they're a little lower than Philly because like for Atlanta, it's weird because it's like there's the general media's concept of how good they were going to be, and then there's my perspective, and I think you might share the same perspective. I didn't think the Hawks were going to be amazing this year.
I didn't think they were going to be good just because of the changes that they made last season. They made almost none.
They didn't get better, and the East got so much better. So there's no universe where everyone else gets better and you stay the same, and then you play as good as you did last year.
That's not how you have to adjust.
Right. I can't. But again, since I personally didn't see them, you know, being all that great in the first place, I'm not disappointed. I could see someone who was high on the Hawks being like D, but I couldn't do that personally.
I wouldn't do that because just to keep things consistent, they're not a D team.
Yeah, no, the D teams, they wouldn't be a D, maybe a C minus, but a D, it's hard to.
The lowest that I'd put them is a C minus in my opinion.
Right, and even then, I'm like
that's even a stretch.
If you're a Hawks fan, you shouldn't be too disappointed. I'd be a little disappointed in the way you guys went out, like the playoff series, but like the way Trae Young performed. Yeah, I'd be a bit disappointed in that, but you can't like have the whole playoff or your whole season be wrapped up in a playoff series because you know when you're a low seed, you're probably not going to play good in the playoffs anyway because you're the worst playoff team that there is. You're pretty much the worst team that's still able to be played at the time. So. But yeah, that
concludes the power ranking or not power rankings, post season rankings.
Yeah, the end of year rankings because regardless of if the Warriors or the Celtics, you know, win the championship, whoever wins it,
they're both going to stay there.
Yeah, they're both A's. I mean, maybe you see the Celtics, if they win it, they actually become like the best season of the year. But Golden State, if they win it, maybe they go there too. But it's pretty much these are the tiers you're in, and I don't think it switches. But yeah, that's the not even the main thing, because we still have to talk about the biggest story in sports right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
this is just giving us an idea of just wrapping up the season as a whole, because realistically, I've been thinking about this. I don't think. Well, tomorrow is game one,
Yes.
but the playoffs are going to be over very, very soon. And plus, we do want to start shifting over to more NFL stuff, because we're starting to enter that time period. So I think
we're about to enter a dead period soon.
Yeah,
where there's going to be no sports.
Right. I think now is a good time to move to or to wrap up this year's season.
Yeah.
I did want to, before we move on to the finals, I did want to hear from you. As a Nuggets fan, how do you feel about your season? Like, where are you sitting going into next year?
I'm not gonna lie, hot take. If Nuggets have MPJ or Jamal or both, if anything, Jokic does not win MVP.
Oh, it's not gonna happen. There's no way it happens.
Because if he gets any of those players back, he's not getting the stats that he gets. They're all gonna fall. Yeah, but he doesn't win MVP.
It's not gonna be like he's bad or anything. I think even if he doesn't have them, he still doesn't win it.
It'll help his efficiency.
Just because it's hard to win MVP 3 years in a row.
No, but if, say, hypothetically, this year.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets those players.
Oh, this year.
He does not. This year, if he has those guys, he doesn't get the stats that he gets, and he isn't winning MVP.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you guys are better if you guys are healthy. But in general, it's not a failed season, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, it's not a failed. I went into the season not expecting many things. Well, I was hopefully because MPJ was healthy at the time, but a week after that, he gets injured.
Yeah,
things shift.
You realize
I expected to be a borderline playoff team,
and even then, you exceeded expectations. So
yeah, like I was surprised that we weren't a play-in team. I was expecting the Lakers to be above us because they were the Lakers.
Again, that's something you have to take into consideration. A lot of these expectations coincide because you don't project, like, the Nuggets weren't supposed to be better than the Lakers. The Nets were supposed to be better than pretty much all of the teams that we have above them. So it's like, if you project yourself to be worse and then another team misses expectations, then, as an effect, you're going to be where you should be.
Yeah. What about you? What are your thoughts on the Thunder's season this year?
I can't be mad. I recently just rewatched our comeback wins against the Thunder or against the Lakers. I'm like, it was just nice to watch a little bit of Thunder basketball because, I'm not going to be able to watch. Well, you're not able to watch, but like, we haven't watched meaningful Thunder we haven't watched Thunder basketball in months. But, as far as like games go, I'm indifferent. I would have liked to see maybe a little more, but I mean, as far as where I feel we're going to be next year, we have the second pick this year. I think we have the 12th pick, and then we have the 30th pick, and then the players we drafted this year. Honestly, I think we're kind of slept on for being winners of the draft last year. Josh Giddey, Trey Mann, Jeremiah Robinson Earl is very solid. And then Aaron Wiggins, that's a good four players right there. Then this year we're going to get someone very, very good. So next year I would like to see the Thunder be maybe a play-in team. Maybe. And even
I like your guys' future. I mentioned this during the draft video, but I love your guys' future. Just because of all the assets that you guys have.
Assets we have. And it's not even like we have to make those picks, and we literally cannot make all those picks. We wouldn't have enough roster spots. But just like wait for the next disgruntled, like maybe in the future, maybe the next couple of years, Thunder like develop their guys. We build up a very solid roster that's just missing that, elite player.
You guys can somehow pull off at the Celtics because the Celtics built their whole team.
Right. And then what's it called? I'm trying to think of a player who in the next few years may want out of where they're at and they could come to Oklahoma City potentially. I'm trying to think of
Luka, I'm kidding.
Like just a random person. Maybe in like the next 2 years, you see Devin Booker is like, I don't want to be in Phoenix anymore. And the Thunder have a bunch of picks and some young guys, and they just send them to Phoenix to get Devin Booker. That's just like off the wall. But there's in the future, there's going to be a disgruntled star, and once the Thunder build up their roster, they're going to be a good destination to go. So I'm very happy about our future. And then this season, again, as I said, I'm just indifferent because we were bad. So like, but we were
Yeah.
supposed to be bad. So I'm not mad. But yeah, as a whole, how do you feel about this NBA season in general?
Um.
I think it's probably the best we've had in a few years.
It was good, but the playoffs, there were only a
Yeah, the
handful of
playoffs
series
was
that were
very
good.
disappointing. The playoffs was
Yeah.
disappointing. In general, we had moments that were very good, but as far as regular season, very good regular season.
Yeah. DeMar just going bonkers.
Yeah, DeMar had his moments. I'm trying to think of all the really good moments. Ja had a bunch of moments.
Oh, the Timberwolves celebrating like they won the world.
Yeah,
not
that
the
was a
World
good
Series,
moment.
The championship.
The
Posters.
Lakers the whole year, just being the
Oh,
laughing
yeah.
stock of the league.
Posters.
Posters galore. Specifically Ja. Like when I think
Oh,
of
yeah.
posters this year, it was just Ja.
I think of that Jaylen Brown poster.
On who?
I forgot who's. Oh my gosh.
Jaylen
Who
Brown
was it on?
poster. I know which one you're talking about. I just don't remember who it was on. Was it in the playoffs?
I think it might have been in the playoffs actually.
Oh, okay. Jalen Green had a couple of nice little moments. Like that time where he almost ended a Thunder player's life. I think it was Mike Muscala. He almost killed, bro.
Maxi Kleber?
Jaylen Brown on Maxi Kleber.
Was it on Maxi Kleber?
I think it might have been. I think I know what you're talking about. Because it was late in the season. It wasn't playoffs. It was late in the season.
Yeah.
The trash talking between players was kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just overall successful season to me. A+. No, I wouldn't say an A+ season. Maybe
It's not an A+ because of course playoffs comes into account.
Yeah, so I would say
that's obviously going to tank it.
B+.
B+.
And then if the finals is really good, we'll get an A-.
It can go up to an A for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that wraps up this. I think essentially this is it for the season. Like we're just gonna be talking about the finals now. So it's kind of not sad, but it's kind of like this is the end of this like
NBA season.
Yeah, which is sorry to think about because we're not getting more NBA basketball till August or September, like with summer league. But yeah, that's wraps for this season. But
okay,
now we
jumped
move
into
on
the finals.
to the
Who do you have?
Geez, you're gonna make me do a prediction first. Let's talk about it first. Warriors. I'm feeling Warriors though, but I'll give more detail to it. Obviously, Celtics are the hot team right now. They beat the Heat in 7, and a lot of people are talking about the Jimmy Butler shot. And
I think it was a good shot.
It's your best player. It's clutch time. You want him taking a shot, even if he's not the best 3-point shooter. If he makes that shot, no one's saying anything about it.
He made that same shot.
Right, he's made the game. Right, so he's feeling himself. He's having a good game. He's coming off a 50-piece pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's like if he makes that shot in that moment, no one's saying anything about why did you take it.
Totally different moment.
Right. And that's like that with every game-winning 3-pointer when you don't need 3. It's happened so many times. Like
I don't want to mention this to you, but like that Dame shot.
If he misses that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If he misses that shot, then everyone's like,
everyone's on his head.
Like, why would you take that? But he makes it, right? And no one's ever been like,
say anything if you make the shot.
I mean, of course, Paul George went in the post-game interview and was like, "That's a bad shot.
Bad shot.
That's bad." But that's just being a sore loser. But in general, if you make a game winner, you can't say if it's a good or bad shot.
Yeah.
Even the Steph Curry one on the Thunder. Now that I think about it, the Thunder have had some pretty mean game winners hit on them. that Steph Curry game winner from like half is also a bad shot in practice, but he makes it. And you can't really say anything about that. But on to we're getting so distracted. We haven't even talked about Celtics or Warriors Celtics.
The Warriors Celtics.
Okay. Personally, I'm Warriors in 6, but
I'm Celtic in 7. I called it earlier.
Okay, so you're sticking with the prediction.
I'm sticking with my.
Which is fair. Which is fair. If your predictions made it this far, you might as well stick.
Yeah.
Because if you're right, then you look like the biggest genius ever.
Yeah.
And then even if you're wrong, it's like you made it this far, so you might as well stick with it.
Yeah.
But if you look at both rosters, and these teams have played 2 times in the actual season. Unfortunately,
none of which
games
were
are
everyone healthy.
too valid.
Yeah.
First game is the day. It's like the first game the Warriors played after Curry broke the record for threes. He actually played really good that game. I watched a bit of it, but no Klay Thompson for the Warriors, no Jordan Poole. For the Celtics, there's like someone's missing. No Al Horford, I'm pretty sure.
Marcus Smart, I believe too.
No, Marcus Smart played that game. I remember Marcus
Oh,
Smart.
he did.
Yeah, he was actually playing really good
Oh,
in the
okay.
first half of that game. And the Celtics end up losing that game by like 3 or 4. It's like a 101. It's like by 6, 101, 107. I'm pretty sure. And that's with the Warriors without, Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson. And then in the second game they play against each other, the Warriors don't have Steph Curry. So it's like,
the first time Celtics win. Second time.
No, I'm pretty sure the Celtics won the second time because Curry.
Celtics won. Oh, wait. Yeah. It was Warriors and then Celtics. Oh my gosh, I looked at it wrong.
Yeah, I know what website you're using. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and it's pretty confusing.
Land of Basketball.
Yeah, that website is
awful.
But neither of those times you can really take too much. Like you're not watching those games and you're like, okay, this is how it's going to play out because you don't know because we've never seen these two teams play. Yeah.
I mean, maybe just that showing. If Jordan Poole gets the shots, he can go crazy. But then he's also taking shots with Curry, which I doubt Curry's okay with.
That's what the thing is for me to pick and I already had the Warriors because I think experience is a huge thing, especially in the finals.
It's like 143 final games to 0.
Right. No one on that team has played in the finals, which is wild. Yeah. You would think like Al Horford would have been in it one time, but nope, he's never been. But I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Experience is huge.
Yeah.
Experience is huge, and that's a pushing point. And then when you do look at the 2 times this team played, the Celtics barely lose when the Warriors don't have Klay or Jordan Poole, and then they blow them out. But the one time they blow them out this year, they don't have Steph Curry. So it's like, at least for the Warriors, both times the Celtics were on the more healthy side because the first time they were just missing Al Horford. And Al Horford is great and all. I'm not gonna say he's like a bad player and he's not impactful, but like missing Al Horford is not the same as missing Klay and Jordan Poole or missing Steph Curry. But that's just me.
I think, okay, so in my opinion, the X factors for the Warriors would be I'm kidding. Jordan Poole. Maybe some Wiggins. He's going to have to be guarding Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. It doesn't matter who he's guarding. It's going to be tough. And then someone else, either Gary Payton on the other person, most likely, or Klay, whoever. I doubt they're throwing Draymond out there because no one's guarding Rob Will if he's out there.
Right. And then, even then, if the thing is, the Warriors' best defense is their offense because you're like, again, even if they don't have a big man on there, like if they're playing a lineup with the death lineup, the thing that's terrible about the death lineup isn't the fact that it's so great on offense. It's the fact that because
it's not even bad on defense.
It's not even that. It's the fact that because it's so great on offense, you can't play your bigs. You're forced to literally take your centers out. And the thing that you would want to take advantage of with the death lineup is the height, right?
Yeah.
Like if Draymond's the center, you want to put your tallest players in on the court to, take advantage of the height mismatch. But then on offense, you're getting cooked because the Warriors' offense isn't where you can just play man-to-man defense on them. Because
you have to constantly be switching.
You're always switching. You're always moving. And you really can't play bigs unless they're like a Draymond Green prototype where they're small.
This is where I hit you with that. So, gravity. The Celtics are just naturally taller.
They are naturally taller.
Hear me out. Rob Will is one of the best centers in the league with switching and stuff. We all know this. They have the highest defensive rating in the league, arguably for a reason. Yeah. Their defense is no joke. They have length. I think they have the best chance, if not.
Oh yeah, out of any team in the league
against this depth lineup. I trust this lineup.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's why I'm going with the Celtics because they can run the half court set or the full court set at will.
Yeah, far and away, out of anyone in the NBA, it's literally the Warriors or the Celtics and the Heat that have the best chance of guarding it. I think I would put the Heat a little higher just because I think Bam Adebayo is better at switching out on perimeter players than Robert Williams.
Yeah.
But it's close. It's close. And then, of course, you have the Defensive Player of the Year. Jason Tatum is a very much improved defender.
Marcus Smart will get physical, though.
Yeah. And it's like, It just comes down to a lot of things. Like
I like this Celtics team
I
over
like
the
them too.
Warriors.
I don't know if I like that. Thing is, like
It'll come down to a coaching chess match.
And Steve Kerr is a better coach than Ime Udoka.
He has more experience in
He
it.
has more experience in the finals. That's why it comes down to experience for me. That's the thing that pushes me over the edge. I'm not gonna tell you to change your pick because, of course, you wrote it all this way. But experience is huge. Steph has been in the finals multiple times.
It may show, but then we have seen. Who's the Celtics coach name again?
Ime Udoka.
Ime Udoka. Yeah, we've seen him make adjustments.
Yeah, he's coached with the best of them. So,
yeah,
Steve Nash and Mike Budenholzer aren't the best, but Eric Spoelstra is definitely one of the best.
Yeah.
So not to say he's even a bad coach, but like
he's out coached.
Steve Kerr is just that coach.
Yeah.
Like, and even then, Eric Spoelstra did take him to 7. He took him to 7, so it was tough for him.
Yeah. Spoelstra is no joke though, because the Heat's history is rich.
Winning. They win. They win. Like
they avoid tanking and just win.
It's just different with the Warriors. Because I think with the Heat, you can play more man-on-man defense, and you're not going to get as exhausted playing the Heat. The Warriors seem so exhausting to play. I know
they will tire you out.
I know players. I'm sure there's interviews where people are like, "What's your least favorite team to play?" It's probably Golden State. Like they just seem so exhausting to play.
Yeah.
Especially as a star player when you have to carry that offensive load.
I've never seen Curry stand still.
He doesn't stand still. That's the thing. So even if you put Marcus Smart on him, then he's not standing still. There's all the off-ball screens, and then there's going to be times where Jason Tatum has to switch on to Steph or Clay or Wiggins. And then on offense, he's so exhausted from running around on defense. I don't know how good of a game you get from Tatum. And even then, Tatum has also been very inconsistent in the playoffs. I saw he has like 21 more turnovers than the second most person in the playoffs. He has 77 turnovers in the playoffs. I think Luka.
He averages 4.3 turnovers per game.
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Jaylen Brown averages 3.
So yeah, those two guys, I think Jaylen Brown is 4th in turnovers in the playoffs at the moment. Like total. And the only one of the guys higher than them is Luka Doncic.
Turnover ratio is 1.4 and then 1.2.
Which is good, I guess.
It's cool, but it's not ideal.
When you have the ball in your hands as much as they do, 1 is not good.
Yeah.
Really. And it's different because it's like they're attempting to make the assists, but they're not really able to. They're not the best passers.
But Jason's definitely shown improvement though.
Much improved passer, much improved defender as well. And that's great and all. I just think it comes down to experience and just who the Warriors are. Because even the Celtics would be less experienced than the Suns, technically. But I think they have a better chance of beating the Suns than the Warriors. And
then the Warriors have that Draymond presence.
Right. It's literally just because also take into account the Warriors have had so much rest. Like I don't even remember the last time the Warriors played a game.
Yeah.
Last episode, did the Warriors win by then?
That was game 7. They already won it. That was game 7 for the Heat.
Yeah, so
they've been done for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're rested up. They've been planning for the Celtics because it seems like that's what they thought was going to win. So it's like they've been planning for this. I think, I have Warriors in 6, and if the Celtics win, I think it's comfortable to say that the Warriors win tomorrow. I think all signs showed to the Warriors winning tomorrow. I think the who is home? I gotta see. Either way, I still have the Warriors winning. Celtics versus Warriors. Are they in I'm pretty sure they're in San Francisco. Yeah, Celtics at Warriors. So yeah, I definitely have the Warriors winning game
1. Warriors are taking game 1. Okay, so I'm going wild on this. Warriors are taking game 1 and 2.
And then the Celtics come back.
Celtics are going to come back. And then some. No, actually, no. Hold on. Warriors take 1. Celtics split it. And then Celtics game 3, Warriors 4. So we're tied at 2 apiece. And then Warriors 5.
And then Celtics 6-7.
Celtics 6-7.
For me, here's how I have it going. Warriors win game 1, right? Because it's just so hard to win on that home court.
Yeah.
Game 2, I think they also win it on home court. Game 3, Celtics, it's must-win game, right?
Yeah.
Celtics are like, okay, we're at home. We got to win this game. So they win it. They take game 3. Game 4, they're still in Boston. I think Golden State wins that. So it's 3-1 Golden State. They go back to Golden State. Again, Boston is in this position where it's like, we need to win. They win it in Golden State. Game 6 in Golden State, they just get it done. That's how I see it playing out. Because it's just so, it's hard to beat the Warriors at home, and then to think you have to beat the Warriors at home back-to-back as well.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I think it's comfortably the Warriors, but a lot
It's
of
really
people,
tough.
It's making it like statistically and like all the like predictors and stuff like that.
Mhm.
They were like really big on the Celtics. Like it's not even close. Like I saw somewhere that said the Celtics have an 88% chance to win the finals.
No.
They have a 50% chance to win the finals. There's
Yeah.
literally 2 teams. 88%.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's very, very close. I think
I'm
it's
still taking Celtics in 7 though.
it's comfortable. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I just think to me it's Golden State.
Yeah.
And this is so funny because like for me, in my NBA fandom, this is probably the worst finals matchup that we could have got. Because I don't like Celtics fans at all, but I also don't like Warriors fans at all.
I haven't seen anyone with a Celtics jersey. Maybe because we're where we're at.
Yeah,
But like,
I see Warriors fans all the time, and I don't get it.
yeah,
I do not get it at all. How, if you live in San Diego, how did you become a Warriors fan?
yeah.
It
I got
makes sense-
family up in the Bay.
Yeah, it makes sense to be a Clippers fan because they were literally in San Diego. Even the Rockets were in San Diego at one point.
Yeah.
And then the Lakers are, the big team who are very, very close to us. But how'd you become a Warriors fan? Like,
Probably hop on the 15 team.
exactly. They hopped on the 15 team and they act like, nah, I've been a fan for a minute.
I'm been a fan since 99.
You've been a fan since 2015. I remember this.
Yeah.
And then Celtics fans are just annoying.
That's all I gotta say though.
Mm-hmm. It's very close though.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're both on the same page that the Celtics lose tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That home court is, oh my god.
With all the rest time, like all signs
yeah.
point to the Warriors winning that game. And if it's a blowout, I still wouldn't be like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, I wouldn't overreact.
I'm not gonna overreact to that.
Yeah. But yeah, Warriors in 6 or Celtics in 7. That's pretty much our takes for that. How much time have we been recording? We've been recording for 8. Oh, it doesn't even. Oh, an hour and a half, nearly an hour 40. I'm trying to think. What else can I mean, there's a little NFL stuff, but I really think we should just focus. We should just focus on NBA and go NFL Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Because this is the NBA pretty much biggest episode.
There's no need to force NFL into it when we
right, because it's and the NFL stuff isn't even that big of a deal.
Yeah. Like, oh, Deshaun Watson got another case.
Right, and we don't. That man's not.
Nobody. Yeah.
Um.
Though that will affect our rankings, it is okay.
Oh yeah. I don't think because we talked about that on the first time we recorded, or before the first time we recorded.
It's the hypothetical he does play.
Yeah, and then even besides that, because we tried recording the episode. For those of you guys who don't know, this is the second take because internet issues. We were talking about ranking every team's starting quarterback for the next episode. So that's going to affect his ranking for that if we decide to go that route for the video. One thing we could talk about that is NFL and is actually a pretty big deal. Aaron Donald.
Considering retirement.
Yeah, because so pretty much he went on a podcast. I think it's called The Shop. It's the one where they're in the barber shop. So I think it's called The Shop. And essentially he's pretty much said, if the money doesn't make sense, I'm cool with retiring. Which to me, he has the right to say that. He's one of the best defensive players.
Yeah.
He won his Super Bowl, which was the main thing eating at him, I imagine.
That's all that he wanted.
Go out while you're on top. And then I think it's also like a health thing. He doesn't want to risk something like CTE, things like that. Like retire while you're on top, retire while you're young, retire while you're healthy. So
he doesn't want to play if he doesn't have to.
Right. And the Rams,
he's already proven enough of a point.
Yeah, the Rams need to pay him. If they want him there's no excuse to not pay Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Donald. He's one of the best defensive players of the last 20 years.
Ever.
Right. And you're just not going to pay him because the money needs to make. I get it needs to make sense, but there's a certain caliber of player.
It's just
where
my
you just have
concern
to
of
pay
how
them.
they're going to pay them
Right.
or pay him. Because, like, where are they getting all this money from?
I have no clue. They're doing something under the table to get this bread because it makes no sense to me. But there's like, once you reach a certain caliber of player, you just pay them regardless.
Yeah.
I think. Like, I don't know.
Like,
If
he's
this
been
is just me.
this is Madden stuff, but he's been undisputedly a 99 for like the past 4 years.
Right. Like 99. And then even before
Yeah.
that, he was like in the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
but if you're like a superstar, like, and it's like this in the NBA, 99% of the time, if you're that guy, you get paid. It's
Yeah, for
not a
sure.
question. Curry gets paid. LeBron gets paid.
hmm
Giannis got paid. I'm trying to think.
Jokic got paid.
Jokic is going to get paid.
Yeah.
Like if you're that caliber of player, you get your bread.
You're going to get your money.
And
Just don't like sit out like let
Right.
him go.
right. And I think he's I like that he's doing that. He's not going to like distract the team from winning.
Mhm.
He's going to just say, I want the money. The money needs to make sense for me to continue playing, which is fair.
Which totally makes sense.
The way
I'm
he's
cool with
handling it, I'm cool with that. The way someone like, Le'Veon Bell handled it,
Childish.
that was very childish. But it's different for Aaron Donald just because
What he has
I know
achieved
he
as a
deserves
player.
that money. It makes
Yeah.
sense for him to get paid.
It totally makes
Wow.
sense. Because he's been at an elite caliber for how long?
Right. Like this man has been insane forever. I honestly want to look at his stats on Football Reference just so we have an idea of how crazy this guy actually has been.
Here's the thing though, half of the stats don't even show up because it was pressures. And
He's
he's
always,
always double teamed.
doubled and tripled. Like,
Yeah.
But this man has
One-time
been
Super Bowl champ, 8-time Pro Bowl, 7-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame All 2010s team. 2014 Defensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year twice,
like, come on.
4 times. Wait, what? PFWA Defensive Player of the Year.
Like, dude, he had a 20
SN
sack
Defensive Player of
season.
the
He
Year.
had a 20 sack season.
Wait, what?
In 2018, he
Oh
had
my
20 and a half
God.
sacks. I don't remember
Oh
that
my
at all, but he
God.
had a 20 sack season.
Wait, so what's the sack record? 22?
Yeah. Rookie
Wow.
9, 11, 8, 11, 20, 12, 13, 12 and a half. And these last 3 years, had he not been doubled and things like that as much, I could see 15 plus for all 3 years.
Mhm.
Again, he's also 30.
He's young.
Yeah, so you can give him a good, probably comfortably give him a 4-year. I'd say 4.
4 year.
35
4
is a bit
yeah.
old.
5
but,
year is a stretch.
Yeah, 34 seems like a fair time for him.
Mhm.
But yeah, that guy deserves to get paid. 20 sacks in the season is wild. What about
He
that?
had 25 QB hits last year.
Yeah, like he's getting to the quarterback.
He's
Like,
averaging like 28, 29.
this year we had 20 sacks, he got 40 QB hits.
41.
Like,
yeah.
Quarterbacks in 2018 were not trying to play this man. Well, like again, 8-time Pro Bowl, 7-time All Pro. He's been All Pro pretty much every year.
A little
many-
less than half of his tackles were sacks
How many
in
years
that
has this man
2018
played?
season.
This man has played 7 years.
7
8
years.
years. It's going to be his 8th year this year, or it's going to be his 9th year this year. He's played 8 years.
He has 98 sacks. I think he should just get 2 sacks and call it a year or call it a career.
He's been the Pro Bowler every year of his career. Like,
Wow.
as a rookie, he was a Pro Bowler. Come on now. Give that man his money. Give that man his money. Give that man his money. Get your 100th sack and call it quits. That's all you need to do. Get 100 and that's it for me.
That's it.
Yeah, but that's how I feel. Pay that man. Inform us on some baseball. What's going on in baseball?
Angels fell off a hill.
Oh, yikes.
all
I'm gonna
I'm
look at
saying.
the MLB standings because this isn't gonna turn into a baseball podcast. I just like to bring it up
Mhm.
at the end, just as something we could talk about. What about the
Angels,
Padres?
Loki fell off. Padres are 5th in the power rankings. Dodgers are 1st, I believe.
The
Astros are
Padres-
4th, I think. I don't know.
Padres are 30 and 20. So hey, go San Diego. Woo.
Angels game just got postponed. I don't know why. Probably rain.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. So apparently there's some fantasy football beef.
Oh, that was
So
funny. I saw about that, and I don't even pay
So,
attention to baseball. I saw that.
Mike Trout's a commissioner in a fantasy football league, including Jock Peterson and Tommy Pham.
Uh-huh.
And basically, a couple of days ago, Tommy Pham walked up to Jock Peterson pregame and just slapped him.
And it wasn't about like
Will
IR
Smith style, walking up, bam.
Yeah. IR. It was about
Yeah,
like
also
IR.
some IR rules, and then apparently Trout doesn't care. But I'm checking on it right now because apparently Commissioner Trout addresses the role. The Jock Pham spat.
Even then, I don't think that's even that. Like, is it even a big deal? I think it's just like a stupid argument that friends have.
Mm-hmm.
Slapping someone is kind of wild, but like,
yeah, it's wild.
But like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, they have toxic locker room. That's two guys arguing over fantasy football. So, and actually, they might get suspended for gambling.
So basically, he attempted to deflect the question at first on like what happened, I guess. And then he said, I ain't talking about those fantasy football. Like, he isn't talking about fantasy football, but he also said it with like a smile. And then it was one of those things where everybody is just competitive, you know?
Right.
Everyone loves fantasy football. Who doesn't? I think it's you guys, the media, dragging it on, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
He talked to Tommy, talked to Jock, everybody was part of it. It was just a passion of fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I think we should get more information on it, like what happened.
Yeah, I need more context as to why he got slapped.
We play fantasy football,
and no one's ever gotten slapped.
Yeah, because if anyone should have gotten slapped, it should have been you for completely fleecing our friend.
Yeah, that was we were talking about that trade earlier.
Yeah,
that was
So to give context, Khalil traded away Drew Brees and Le'Veon Bell. This was 2019-2020 season, I believe, when Le'Veon Bell signed to the Chiefs.
Yeah, for Josh Allen.
For Josh Allen, who was
I literally lied when I was like negotiating, which I guess you're not supposed to lie, but I'm gonna lie.
It was on him for not checking the health of the receiver.
Right, because I was like, yeah, Drew Brees is gonna be a lot better because Michael Thomas is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas did not come back. And then I was like, hey, Le'Veon Bell's gonna be good on the Chiefs. That man was not that good on the Chiefs. He was like the third string running back. It was just two big name players, and I got arguably. I think Josh Allen that year was the second best QB, and I had the best QB.
He was the second best QB.
Best QB was Kyler that year, I'm pretty sure, and I had Kyler.
You had Kyler?
I had Kyler and Josh Allen.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Who did I have that year then?
You had.
Did I have Lamar?
I think so. I can't wait for fantasy football this year. We're getting really close to that time. Like, honestly, we should probably do our draft in the next couple of weeks.
I think we should do it in August.
I mean, that's preseason though.
July.
Yeah, like maybe third week of July.
Okay.
I think that's cool. Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, it's June. Yeah, I'm thinking it's July now. Yeah, we got at least a month.
Yeah. So start doing your scouting.
Yeah.
We'll mention this next episode early on. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever guys make it this far.
Right. But I think that's a good place to stop. 1 hour 45.
It's about our average.
Yeah. But that concludes the Kobe episode number 8 of the Poverty Franchise. I just almost forgot the name of our podcast. Wow. The Poverty Franchise podcast. I got Warriors in 6, Celtics in 7.
Celtics in 7.
We'll be back on Saturday.
Most
likely we'll be doing Saturday with the top 32 QBs in the league, and then probably discussing game 1.
I also think the game is on Saturday night.
Oh, they have a game that day too?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's every 3 days.
Okay, so yeah, we'll have every 3 days. So Wednesday, then Saturday, then
no, it's Thursday, then Saturday.
Thursday, then
like 2-day breaks.
Okay, Thursday, Saturday.
Wait. Hold on. Did I check it right? Hold on.
We supposed to what I just said makes no sense.
Bro, no, because this is important.
Yeah, to see how we should schedule things.
Okay, so Thursday there's a game, and then Sunday. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Okay, Thursday, then Sunday. So yeah,
so Thursday, then Sunday, we can talk about the episode. Okay, Thursday, talk about it on Saturday. Sunday, talk about it on Wednesday, but then there's a game on Wednesday. We may be missing that part of it at least. 6 p.m. at Boston. I believe that's 6 p.m. here because I'm sure they wouldn't do that to us, right?
Yeah, no, there's no way they'd have the game at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna
Okay.
miss game 3 essentially. But yeah, that's episode 8 of the Poverty Franchise Podcast. We're done here. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Yes.